Exporting vehicles to Ethiopia. Capitalize on policy dividends and avoid overseas risks if you want to boost your vehicle export business in Africa. Ethiopia is a must-jan master market that can double your orders with precise market insight. As the world's first country to fully ban the sale of new fuel-jan-powered passenger vehicles, Ethiopia has built one of Africa's top electric vehicle markets, despite having no domestic oil resources, and every vehicle export wholesaler must fully understand the underlying industry logic and market rules. Located on the East African plateau, and surrounded by oil-jan producing countries, Ethiopia has no crude oil reserves of its own, and has long been constrained by oil shortages. Any fluctuation in international oil prices or disruption of shipping routes will trigger a domestic fuel supply crisis. At the beginning of this year, military conflicts between the United States and Iran disrupted shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, leaving Ethiopia facing a shortage of Yalbalin tons of fuel, with local residents queuing for 2 to 3 hours just to refuel their vehicles. Worse than the oil shortage is the severe foreign exchange crunch. Ethiopia's foreign exchange earnings rely mainly on niche exports such as coffee, sesame, and flowers. The country spends $8 billion annually on fuel imports, and provides an additional monthly subsidy of $1 to stabilize domestic oil prices, resulting in persistent trade deficits. In sharp contrast, Ethiopia is known as the water tower of Africa. The Blue Nile originates here, and the country boasts Africa's largest Renaissance dam, along with abundant wind and solar energy resources. Over 50% of its electricity comes from renewable energy, with extremely low power tariffs equivalent to less than 0.09 Chinese yuan per kilowatt an hour. The huge cost gap has created rigid market demand for electric vehicles. The monthly charging cost for electric vehicles in Ethiopia is only $, while the monthly fuel cost for gasoline vehicles reaches $. Given that the local average monthly salary is just over $, electric vehicles hold an overwhelming cost advantage over fuel cars. Based on this energy and economic logic, comprehensively phasing out fuel vehicles and popularizing electric mobility has become the only viable path for Ethiopia's energy self-gen rescue. The country has rolled out increasingly stringent policies, first banning imports of fueled and powered passenger vehicles, then hybrid vehicles, and even requiring foreign diplomatic missions in Ethiopia not to purchase fuel vehicles, which has completely reshaped its new car market. In Ethiopia imported more than 40 electric vehicles from China, a year-on-year increase of 100%, accounting for 1/3 of Africa's total electric vehicle imports, firmly establishing itself as the core electric vehicle market in Africa. Ethiopia offers generous tariff incentives for electric vehicles, while the import tariff for fuel vehicles is as high as 500%. Electric vehicles are exempt from import duties and only subject to a 500 futa alu jan added tax. For vehicles imported in completely knocked jan down CKD form for local assembly, the tariff drops further to 500 . Both finished vehicle exports and CKD local assembly models are fully supported with stable long jan term policy dividends. Nevertheless, exporters need to view the market objectively, as it inevitably has drawbacks including limited market scale, low consumer purchasing power, and infrastructure development lagging behind policy progress, and they should not focus solely on dividends while ignoring potential risks. Policy shifts have completely restructured the market competition landscape. Before the fuel vehicle ban, Japanese Toyota fuel cars dominated about 500% of the local market thanks to mature used jan car channels and comprehensive maintenance networks. However, once the ban took effect, these long jan term advantages in the fuel vehicle market became obsolete overnight, triggering a complete market reshuffle within a year. This is the core appeal of the Ethiopian market for Chinese automakers. Instead of competing for market share gradually, the industry has switched to a brand jan new track, and early adopters adapting to the new rules can seize first jan mover dividends. Major foreign brands have responded passively to this transformation. Korean brands rushed to ship over 10 fuel vehicles to cash in before the ban, only to exit the mainstream market rapidly with no fuel vehicles left for sale after the policy took effect. Toyota attempted a turnaround by launching electric models but adopted a high jan-end pricing strategy, raising the price of its electric vehicles from $10 to nearly $10. In comparison, equivalent Chinese electric vehicles are priced at half the cost, leading to poor market performance for Toyota's adjusted products. European and American brands have largely abandoned this market due to Ethiopia's per capita GDP of less than $10 and unstable power grid conditions. Chinese brands have become the biggest beneficiaries of the policy dividends. In Ethiopia's new car sales ranking, Toyota only secured 2 positions with pre-ban fuel vehicle inventory, while Chinese electric vehicles occupied the remaining 8 spots. Leveraging its mature overseas channels, MG's Roewe Ei5 topped the annual sales chart as a cost-effective family commuter model, proving that channel compatibility and targeted product positioning matter more than simple price competition. BYD entered the market in late 2024 and quickly ranked among the top sellers with its dual layout of the low-dan cost entry dan level Seagull and the spacious family dan-oriented Song series, demonstrating that late entrants can also achieve rapid sales growth by accurately targeting segmented market demands. Jangling and JAC have gained a firm foothold in the micro-EV segment with high-cost performance, providing a differentiated development model for small and medium-dan-sized exporters to avoid cutthroat competition among mainstream models and focus on rigid local segmented demands. In the commercial vehicle sector, Foton took the lead in building local CKD assembly plants to supply local logistics and intercity transportation markets, revealing that commercial vehicle assembly models can help exporters access lower tariffs and secure stable local orders. In terms of export operations, exporters must avoid 4 major risks concerning compliance, quotas, logistics, and payment recovery for market access and certification. Exported vehicles need to meet local standards for complete vehicle quality, environmental protection, and safety. It is advisable to confirm the latest access lists in advance with local authorized dealers or assembly partners to avoid customs detention due to non-DAN compliant documents. Ethiopia implements a foreign exchange quota approval system whereby importers can only make overseas payments with foreign exchange quotas approved by the central bank or commercial banks. Even with confirmed vehicle models and prices, insufficient quotas can stagnate orders. Therefore, stable foreign exchange acquisition capacity should be the core evaluation indicator when selecting cooperative channels. As a landlocked country, Ethiopia relies entirely on the port of Djibouti for cargo transit, resulting in highly variable transportation cycles and costs from the port to inland areas, with surging port detention fees during peak seasons that greatly erode profit margins. For finished vehicle exports, exporters need to fully calculate value, DAN added tax port detention fees, and inland transportation costs to reserve pricing flexibility. For CKD assembly exports, though tariffs are lower, exporters need to prepare in advance to meet higher requirements for factory production capacity, logistics cycles, and parts localization rates. Payment recovery is the most prominent risk in this market. Strict foreign exchange controls lead to lengthy currency exchange cycles ranging from several weeks to months, greatly extending payment terms. Exporters must clarify advance payment ratios, settlement methods, and exchange rate fluctuation clauses in contracts, and prioritize high advance payment rates or letter of credit settlements. In terms of channel cooperation, priority should be given to local dealers with formal import licenses and stable foreign exchange quotas for stronger risk resistance. For small and medium DAN-sized channels with unstable quotas, exporters should adopt small DAN batch and multi-DAN batch trial orders to control inventory and capital risks. Product selection and inventory preparation must adapt to local infrastructure conditions. Charging piles are mainly concentrated in Addis Ababa, while those in remote areas even rely on diesel generators for power supply. Local consumers prioritize charging convenience, making affordable entry DAN-level EVs with small battery packs far more popular than long DAN range models with large batteries, which explains the strong sales performance of the Roewe Ei5 and BYD Seagull. Exporters must avoid copying pricing and product selection logic from domestic or Western markets and fully adapt to Ethiopia's low DAN income and underdeveloped infrastructure environment. The market still offers abundant niche growth opportunities. Ethiopia plans to build Liaotian charging stations by Liaotian Censure, with fast charging stations every wusha kilometers on highways, bringing huge growth potential for intercity logistics vehicles, micro-EVs, and electric tricycles. Electric tricycles for short DAN distance urban travel and end distribution feature low procurement thresholds, low unit prices, and fast capital turnover, making them more suitable for small and medium DAN-sized exporters to achieve rapid sales growth while avoiding large DAN sum payment bottlenecks caused by foreign exchange shortages. Additionally, the development of local assembly plants has driven growing demand for complete vehicle parts and after-DAN sales maintenance components. Exporters can bypass the fiercely competitive finished vehicle market and gain stable low-DAN risk dividends by entering the supporting supply chain sector. Ethiopia's electric mobility transformation is a typical case of a developing country leveraging its resource advantages for development. Lacking oil and foreign exchange, but endowed with cheap renewable power, the country's energy transformation policies are inevitable and reasonable. The market boasts genuine policy dividends and clear development tracks, yet it is also restricted by inadequate infrastructure, tight foreign exchange supply and limited purchasing power. For vehicle export wholesalers, this is a forward-looking market where policies advance faster than infrastructure development. Short-term sales volume is not the core value instead. Early market positioning, stable channel establishment, and mature settlement and logistics system development lay the foundation for future growth. As charging infrastructure improves gradually, early market entrants will fully capture the incremental dividends released by market maturation. Only by understanding the underlying market logic, controlling operational details, and avoiding potential risks can exporters steadily capitalize on Ethiopia's electric vehicle export opportunities. As an authorized wooling exporter with rich experience in complete vehicle exports, JAC specializes in sharing practical foreign trade rules and risk avoidance strategies, helping all vehicle export practitioners expand overseas markets steadily and achieve booming orders.